Welcome back to Uninfluenced. It's been shit. We did a show. We took a year off. It was 2 weeks since we did this one. We got a pretty good warm welcome back after a year of not doing shit. So thank you guys. We're going to keep them short and sweet from now on. 30, 45 minutes, see how they go. You guys can still write in to Ask.Uninfluenced at Gmail. I should probably check that.
.net.gov.org.
All them shits. Yeah, I should probably fucking check that. Ask.Uninfluenced at gmail.com. There you go. Sorry. It's also down in the description so you guys fucking know.
In the prescription.
Prescription. What the fuck is this? Oh, someone wanting to sponsor us. Okay, so I'm going to get into something. First, I'm going to ask you, fast car versus favorite car. Are they the same or different, and what defines them?
Fastest car or fast car?
Fastest.
Oh, for sure not the same for me. I mean,
yeah.
The Performante is easily the fastest car, but I guess, you know, it's important to quantify what do you mean by fastest also, because if I was to drive the Performante versus the Pista or the, like, let's say anything, I mean, from here to, 40 miles away, like our normal morning drives, the Pista is going to be faster.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you're talking about all-around speed, then yes, it's the same car. In that one dimension of straight line speed for a brief period of time, then no. So, but to me, fast means all around.
Yeah.
All around speed, everything, handling, the ability to push it hard for long. That's what she said. And so, yeah, I would say it's the same.
Yeah. And I figured you would go that route to where, and I agree. Well, if I were to go with things I've driven and put a lot of time in, I would love to have seen the STO against the Pista.
Yeah.
Both stock cars minus the STO had an exhaust, which doesn't really do shit other than make it sound good. Other than that, they were bone stock fucking cars, but the handling aspect of both those cars was so fucking nutty.
Yeah.
I think top end wise, for sure, the Pista would catch up and fuck it up. Still haven't drove the SF90. For one, I'm scared. Not of its speed, but my addiction to want to buy shit that I fall in love with too fast, like Asian hookers and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fast. If you're quantifying being able to shift in and out of lanes real quick and all that, straight line speed, the quickest I've been in would have to be the Performante straight line speed, followed up with the R8, both R8s, I guess.
Yeah.
Then as it goes down, you get into the 720s and shit like that were pretty fucking nutty.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. The going in and out of turns, won't say traffic, in and out of turns. If we were to leave the same place and say drive the twin turbo UGR Performante and an SF90 or a Pista STO, I think from point A to point B,
it's no contest.
Yeah, no. The other three cars that aren't as fast.
Yeah.
And this is why I bring it up. That's why I kind of wanted to attack that one first. A viewer, a listener, put in the comments, I feel your pain, man. I too am a skilled and badass driver like you. I just can't enjoy a car unless it has 2,000 horsepower and can go 300 miles per hour. It's just what I have to have for my skill level. And I think
somebody's having fun with us.
Yeah, and I think either they're trying to push buttons or they totally took what we said wrong.
No, to me, I read that 100% as they're just being a smart ass, like making fun of us.
Yeah,
more than anything, which is fine. I mean, I guess even to be fair to that comment, one, like, obviously it's a free country, you can say whatever you want, you can talk whatever, whether it's talking shit or not. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I think to most people, hearing us talk about cars and something that we would bitch about sounds ridiculous. You know, and I mean, fuck, to be fair, it is ridiculous. You know, like in anything that either of us complain about car wise, it is kind of dumb. But you know, it's nuanced. I mean, keep in mind, like, this is a car and motorcycle specific show. You know? So of course we're going to get way into the weeds the same way they do on any podcast. I mean, if you hear somebody talk, like let's say it's a fitness podcast, or even, you know, my other show, you know, the mic drop thing, we're talking about military stuff, like you get very nuanced and very into the weeds on certain things because it's a specialty episode or show, or, you know, niche market or whatever. But yeah, I think he's just fucking with us. But
yeah, and on that note, the cars we're talking about that we enjoy the most are actually the least horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, well,
to a point,
not the least. I mean, they're the happy mediums. They're for sure not the highest horsepower.
They're the ones we talk about all the time, that where we always say anywhere from 600 to 800 wheelish is, for what we do, is a perfect mix of a car.
Yeah,
we can take something that's 600 and we can enjoy ourselves. For that matter, you can take a GT3 RS, and yeah, you're not going to get the top end speed, but you could have just as much fun in that car.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we both drove something from, say, Oklahoma to where we live with 120 mile
fucking car,
exact same vehicles, 120 mile an hour rev limiter, and we had a really good time.
It was funny, the message you sent, like, doesn't matter what the fuck we're driving.
We could be on 2 electric mopeds and fucking.
You'd be on fucking mint electric scooters in fucking Washington, D.C. downtown and still fuck it up.
As we were about to exit, I had a Days of Thunder memory.
Rubbins racing?
Well, where they're leaving the rental car place and going to that dinner. And it starts out friendly and then it gets all fucked up. And
yeah, I know it. Fucking great.
But yeah, so I mean, for us, or for me at least, I'm pretty sure it's the same for you, being in anything that's fun and is somewhat capable of doing things a normal vehicle wouldn't. And these were normal ass vehicles. I would say an upgraded, they were pickup trucks, guys. Yeah. But elevated trucks. They were bone stock, and we just I was having a fucking blast.
Yeah, me too. It was fucking great.
And and that's just how we are. It's not really we're competing to get to anywhere. It's just we start fucking having fun, and it don't matter what the fuck we're in.
Yeah.
We go to Andretti's, we're probably going to get kicked the fuck out.
I don't doubt it. Yeah. For sure we're going to get flagged and talked to. But one story I'll share, I guess, so I did a quick trip to Vegas for an interview here fairly recently, and hit Speed Vegas, speaking to the, speed versus horsepower or whatever. Speed Vegas had a 992 GT3 and a 488 Pista that you could rent. So I rented both of them and drove them back to back, 5 hard laps on the track. And there was only a 4-second difference on that lap between the two, which, on that track, I mean, it's a 1.8 mile track. So, 4 seconds is a fair bit. However, the driving experience-wise, the Pista was absolutely more fun. Now, to be fair, I have way more time in one of those than I do. In fact, it's the first time I've ever driven a GT3. I've never driven a GT3 RS. I had the GT2 RS. In the period that we took this time off, I had a GT2 RS and got rid of it. It's a good car, but just not the Pista, and not one that I would want to hang on to, which we can talk about that later maybe. But what I will say is that, on the track, like on that track in particular, for anybody who's been to that, it's got one long straightaway that you can get up to, depending on what car you're in, anywhere from low 120 mile an hour up to almost 150, depending again on what car you're in and how you exit that corner. But it's a good straightaway where you get a real good idea of what kind of pulling power and that kind of top end legit straight line speed a car has, and that's where you notice an enormous difference between the Pista and the GT3, which stands to reason. I mean, there's a 210 horsepower difference, so it should feel way faster. But a couple of takeaways: the GT3 has more grip, and it was on shitty Pirelli tires. The Pista was on Cup 2s, which they were worn out. It was hot, and they got spongy. The first 2, maybe 3 laps, they were pretty solid. The 4th and 5th lap, I noticed a deterioration in grip on the Pista with those fucking tires. I did check them beforehand, and they were pretty worn the fuck down, so that is part of it, I'm sure. But the GT3 clearly had more grip, but it struggled in the power bands, where in the Pista you just feel like your face is getting ripped off, and it's just way more fun to drive. Way more fun to drive. I mean, in every way. I mean, it sounds better, even though the GT3 sounds good. I mean, it revs high and it's naturally aspirated. But fuck, the Pista as a twin turbo revs to 8,300. I mean, you're only getting to 9,000 out of the fucking GT3. It's not like there's a huge difference. Now, if it was like the C8 or the Turbo S that, you know, revs to 6,500, yeah, it's a big difference. But having a twin turbo that revs to 8,300 and an Inconel exhaust that's about fucking 9 inches long, like, that thing is a fucking monster. It sounds good. It revs high. Just the emotion. I mean, I know everybody's tired of hearing me blow the fucking Pista, but it's a fucking masterpiece. And it, you know, I sold mine again. I guess this was during our time off. I sold the Pista. I know I said I probably never would, but it's one of those, you know, what I bought it for versus what somebody was offering. It didn't make sense to hang on to it with that disparity. So I did sell it. I put 12,000 miles on it, had a fucking blast, had it for, you know, over a year and a half, and it just made sense to sell it. But anyway, it's been, you know, months and months since I've driven it, 6 months or so. So I wanted to kind of go back to it and see, like, hey, does it drive the way I remember? And I never tracked it, which I regret that I didn't. But, you know, having a chance to track a Pista, I was like, fuck, I'm going to take it while I have the shot. And I took it, and yeah, it's a phenomenal car. No two ways about it.
Yeah, Speed Vegas, if you guys are ever out there and they are not sponsoring this,
dude, so worth it.
Yeah, it's worth every fucking penny. It's, especially if you're one of those people who are on the fence about what type of car you want to buy to drive. They have, they had C8s.
They had fucking everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's worth driving sports cars wise, they have it, or could probably get it for you to drive.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in two ways. If you're wanting to get into the supercar world and you have no idea what to buy, go there and drive anything that you think you might like. And what's great about it is that it's basically at your own pace, but you also have a professional instructor there with you that's giving you tips and helping you out and coaching you through everything. And they'll be as ingrained or they'll be as involved as you want them to be or not. You know, the more experience you have, the more they're just going to kind of let you do your thing. If you show them you know what you're doing and you can talk to them where they understand, okay, this guy, you know, this isn't his first rodeo, he knows what he's doing, like they'll give you a little more leeway. If you've never driven, they'll hold your hand through the whole thing and literally, even like they've got their own brake if they need, they'll grab the wheel and help if you're fucking it all up. You know, so it's really, really good. But the other thing too is if you're into supercars, you've had a few and you're curious, fuck, do I want to buy that? You know, supercars unfortunately are ones you can't really test drive them. You know, I mean, like I don't know of any place that'll let you go test drive a fucking 200,000 and above car, at least not from my experience. You know, it's either a buddy lets you drive his or ride in it with him or whatever. What's great about there is you can really push it and fucking hammer on it and really get a sense for what the car is like. So that place is awesome. I mean, they had fucking GT Black Series, fucking C8s, GT 500s, GT3, GT3 RS. They used to have an SF90. They didn't there then. They've got a Pista, they've got a 488 GTB, they've got a 458 Speciale, they've got a fucking Scuderia. Like they had
a STO and all that too, didn't they?
Yeah, STO, a couple other fucking Lambos. Yeah, just a whole fucking menagerie of different cars. I mean, they don't have every single fucking car. They had a couple of McLarens. I mean, they for sure have everything that if you want to get a sense for, even if you're like, fuck, I don't even know what brand I like, you can go drive just about every brand that's worth driving out there. They didn't have any BMWs or Mercedes that I recall, but I don't know that I would really put any of those in that category either.
No, other than the Black Series and the AMG GTRs and that, yeah. But other than that, no, I wouldn't take an M5 around that track.
No,
I mean it'd kind of be fun with nobody else on it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do an M5. I mean, maybe an M2 or an M4, but but not not a four door. I don't think. But.
Yeah, That place is pretty wild. Our banker, I don't know if he listens to this shit or not. He actually wouldn't loan me a car till I rented an exotic and made. He said you have to go to. I ended up going to Royalty and renting one, and he was like, "I won't. Once I know you want it, then I'll do it." He said, "But just, hey, I found this in Auto Trader. Can I have this car?" He said, "No, we're not fucking doing that." Yeah. Now, of course, he's like, "Okay, fuck you. Just do whatever." But I did Speed Vegas before that, and I was fucking hooked. I did the 458 and the old GT3, the 991.1 GT3 touring, and fuck, I fell in love with those cars.
Yeah.
Just, I told you when you got back, I was like, that's the only time I've ever got sick.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it was a G-Force thing, and it was the GT3 that did it. And then I told you the instructor was like, "Oh, man, let's get some water, and you can go out. I'll drive." Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's a trip. Yeah, it's a neat experience. One other thing that they added since the last time I'd been there, which I actually really liked, they had like a test lap where they took us out as a group. So they do like this safety brief first, where they say, here's the layout of the track, here's what the cones mean, give you some basic fucking tips on driving and handling in corners and blah blah blah. It's a 15-minute spiel or whatever, and then they took us out in groups where there was 5 of us total, loaded into a Cayenne Turbo, and the instructor does one lap nice and slow, just explaining everything and kind of gives you an intro to the track so that the first time you're on it isn't when you're driving. And then the second lap, he hammered the shit out of it, and you realize very quickly, which I already knew. I mean, I've had a Cayenne Turbo, and we've had RSQ8s, and you name it, but it's just how capable even an SUV can be, and especially with somebody that really knows how to fucking drive it with 4 other people in the car. It's helpful, and I think even something as simple as that, 1, it makes you more comfortable when you're driving. 2, it gives you an idea of, from even your own confidence, like, fuck, if you can do that in this thing, like, okay, I can jump in this car and push it a little harder than maybe I would have if I'd never done this before and we didn't do that test lap. I think it would help people's confidence to think like, hey, you can get in here and actually fucking push it harder than you think.
Yeah.
And I left there, even as much as I've driven, I haven't done a lot of track time. I've been on Eagles Canyon, and we did the G2 thing, which was just a couple of intro laps, but even the amount of driving I've done or we've done, I still came away like having more confidence, having more knowledge, a better understanding, and was even still surprised at how fucking hard you can push those cars and what they'll do before they start to lose control. And it's just, it's fucking staggering. Like, it does not make sense what you can do in those fucking things when there's things put in place, measures put in place to where you can push them, when there's no speed limits, and it's relatively safe shoulder wise and what have you. It was awesome.
So I'd never been in a supercar till I drove that 458 and all that. And I'm going to be honest here in just a second. I had Z06 Corvettes, all that. I've drove the shit out of those, and I knew their limits. In a corner, too much power, those things were fucking gone, spinning out. Still fun, but it was probably lap 3 to where my confidence was fucking here. Because the first 2, that motherfucker's telling you, okay, you're going to go here. And it looks like you're going off the fucking road. And he's like, okay, hit the brake, turn left, gun it. What? Gun it.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, we're going to spin the tires. No, gun it.
Yeah.
And that fucking, your stomach sinks down and you're like, holy fuck. And then about the second and a half, third lap, I was like, fuck this. Whatever this dude says, I'm going to just do it.
Yeah.
And then I think we did a 5 or a 10. I can't remember, but we were out there a fucking while. And I got, like I said, I got sick. But like you said, Dale, in my mind was blocking more of what I could do versus what that car could do while I was out there.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to listen to this dude over here.
Yeah.
It'd be like you in my passenger seat while we're doing some of the shit we do, and you're like, okay, push. Motherfucker, shut up.
Yeah.
But you got to trust this dude. It's weird. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, they're there all day, every day. Like, they know that track like the back.
They
of
know the cars,
hand.
the feel. I mean,
everything. You know, so yeah, I mean it's. And you know, like I said, they'll be as involved as you want them to be. I mean, they're pretty involved either way, really, no matter what. But yeah, I mean, they're like, brake, go over here, hit this shoulder, turn now, turn harder, push, you know, gun it, accelerate, you know, whatever, slow down harder, shift. You know, like they're telling you exactly what to do. And you know, I mean, I've driven at least enough to where like they didn't really need to tell me what to do in most cases, but I still learned something from being there, and it was still helpful and still took, you know, things away from it, and it was fun more than anything. But
I told you when you got finished, we need to go and invite one other person and see how fucked that place could be with us on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit.
And I do want to say one thing before we talk about the Pista again. Fuck you guys at TriTech who keep telling us to rename the show the Pista Show. I got a text about that, man.
Yeah, well, I'll call it the Pista Show.
Yeah, they're gonna fuck around, fuck up my next window tint. No, but they keep call it the Pista Show.
Yeah.
We talk about the Pista because it's that good.
Yeah.
And if y'all could get your boss to pull his head out of his ass and come drive with us one day, he'd know why we're so hyped on the Pista.
Yeah.
But David's too busy for us. I do want to get into the GT2 RS. I didn't get to drive it a ton. Did I? I only drove it around the loop, I think, a few times while I was messing with the tune and everything. So I didn't have a ton of experience. I did push it through those corners to make sure, you know, the check engine light and all that wasn't coming on. And while some people would be like, oh, you were just pushing it to see the handling. No, if you've ever, which a lot of y'all haven't, ever drove with me or seen me go, if I don't know the car, I'll push it to the limit. I know I'm safe, and I'm not going to fuck up his car. But I was pushing it enough to know this motherfucker is glued.
Yeah.
And what was your thoughts and your feeling behind the GT2 RS?
I mean, it's a phenomenal car. There's no two ways about it. It's a classic, and you know what I call it, a masterpiece, maybe. Probably. I mean, it like there's nothing that I would say is wrong with it.
No, I got in it, felt ahead. I put myself in the year, and it felt ahead of its time.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a 2018. But I mean, you know, fuck, that thing is still one of the fastest cars on the Nürburgring, even still. You know, I mean, it's in the low 640s. It's a phenomenal car. To me, the only issue I had with it and why I sold it. Is actually, I guess there's two issues with it. It's still not quite as fast in a straight line as the Pista was. It's not like it's way slower. It's just enough to notice, and just barely, you know. But to me, you know, that is absolutely a factor. The other thing is that just like every other fucking Porsche I've driven, is that there's a sterility to it that just kind of takes the fun out of it, you know. And I know a lot of people, you know, almost everybody probably listening would think this fucking dipshit's calling a GT2 RS boring. Like, what the fuck does he know? And that's a fair point. I'm just telling you from my experience in having one. I put a couple thousand miles on it. I had it for, you know, a few months, and I just, you know, it just wasn't as fun, again, comparing it to other things that I've driven. And I would even, you know, if I was comparing it to a 765 LT, nowhere near as fun to drive as that. You know, the 765 LT is way more fun to drive than a GT2 RS. The Pista is way more fun to drive, you know, so it handles phenomenal. It's quick. You know, it's a great car. It's just kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
You know, again, as ridiculous as that probably fucking sounds, comparatively, it just wasn't fun enough to keep.
Yeah. And that's the one problem I would say we both have had, is we've been up in this high horsepower range. Like when we met, I'm pretty sure my 720 had right at 1,000 horsepower at the time.
Yeah,
to the
like
wheels.
980.
Yeah, 980, some silly shit. But that was my weekend fun meet car. That wasn't a race car. I took it, and I mean, fuck, we drove the shit out. Well, I drove the shit out of it. You drove it a couple times around that same loop, and I think that's the problem, though. We both had really, really fast shit, and then we're trying to tone it down. So we're trying to find that happy medium.
Yeah.
Handling wise, from what I could tell, it was probably up there in the top handling cars that I've drove.
No, absolutely. I mean, it handled at least as good as the Pista. I mean, I would say up in the really high top end range, it's even more planted. You know, to me, that's not my dig on it. It's not even that it's not necessarily fast enough. It was the connection and the emotion. You know, like, yes, the Pista is a little bit faster. Is the GT2 RS fast enough? Yes, absolutely it is. I'm just saying that, like, you can feel, you know, if you drive them side by side, the Pista feels a little faster.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, it feels faster.
Yeah.
You know, now again, a lot of that I think is just because of the emotion and the sound and the enjoyment and you know, what have you. But yeah, just stacking them next to each other, it just wasn't as fun. You know, but
driving a straight piped F8 is the closest I've been to the Pista, and it wasn't or isn't feel wise, because it handles close, but that Ferrari was really good about not taking the next model and capping the race model below it that this car is built off of. So the F8, it's like they found that line, and it's like they're like, hey, go raise that car up about a half an inch because that's where we need to be, so it's not that.
yeah,
You know, and it's just enough to where it's not that.
yeah,
You know, and the insulation, of course, inside the cabin. You quiet down the ride a little bit. It's more refined. But to me, that's the closest I've been in something that I've enjoyed a lot of driving seat time. And then, like I said, the SF90 just scares the shit out of me. Not for speed or anything else. It just scares the shit out of me talking about, okay, so how can I pull this loan off? The SF90 is a great car, and I see what it's capable of. It's a bad motherfucker. The next closest handling to the Pista, though, I gotta say, and some of y'all are gonna trip out, I've owned a shit ton of McLarens. The 600 LT was fucking stupid the way it would hold the road.
I mean, I would say of everything you've owned, probably the STO, though, right?
Oh yeah. The STO, and I'll tell anybody, hands down, the STO would have been the best car I've owned. But once you start putting what it takes to get it to that wheel horsepower that we want, dollar for dollar, it's not worth the money. It's a fucking phenomenal handling car. But the 600 LT slips on a lot of people, and they're, you know, if you're trying to be in a cheaper budget and still have a fun car, that 600 LT is pretty fun. Just remember, it's fucking McLaren, though. And
it doesn't cost a lot to, performance-wise, get it where it's...
No, I mean, you just need downpipes, BMC filters, and a tune from M Engineering. All can be done in your fucking own garage in a good afternoon. Fuck, I think I did the downpipes, BMC filter. I did all that in like 4 or 5 hours, I think. It was cheap, fun, but it wasn't for me. It was cool at night driving that motherfucker, watching flames shoot out of the fucking top of it, but the STO was fucking phenomenal. I would put the STO right next to the Pista handling-wise. Like, if you stuck them and said, okay, you can only be in these gears and you can't go above this speed, I think they would be really back and forth fighting each other.
Yeah.
It would probably be the closest mix to handling of the GT2 RS with the Pista, but it's just not fast.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. And it's fucking radio. People will say I'm stupid for, again, kind of the silly shit we bitch about. But if you're spending that kind of money on something, it should have a decent radio. They shouldn't put speakers out of an old fucking shoebox in that motherfucker. It literally sounded like solo cups with a string.
Yeah, that's
listening.
crazy.
And everything else about the car, the build quality was great.
Yeah. So it was surprisingly comfortable.
Yeah, it was very comfortable. Like, it had more room than I think any of the other Huracans I'd driven, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was the new seat design or what they did there, but it was fun.
The difference in ride quality and just comfort between the Performante and the STO is night and day.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Because we did back-to-back that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. the Performante is nice, but the STO was better.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you could see better out of the STO except for the back.
Yeah.
That was fucking worthless.
Yeah.
The rear view mirror should have just been thrown the fuck away because you can't really see shit.
Yeah.
You see a couple lights, but other than that, the STO was really good. So far, the F8 would be so far the best thing I've messed with, I think.
Yeah.
The goal one day is to get close to that hypercar level. And not even if I own it. Like, if I could just rent that motherfucker from somebody for a while. I want to put some seat time in a hypercar or something hypercar level.
Yeah.
I would say the 720 with the 980 horsepower was really close, but it's fucking McLaren. And it's funny because someone with the 765 was, oh, man, you always talking shit about McLarens, and you've had like 5 fucking McLarens. His McLaren's in the fucking shop with a fucking oil leak on a fucking 3,000-mile engine.
I will say I'm curious to see what happens with the 750S when it comes out.
I've said it over and over, I think, and it pisses people off in one of the chat groups we're in. I think the 750, the reason it's going to be such a great car for McLaren is the same reason the Altura is. I probably said that wrong. That's the car Ferrari's old quality control manager stepped in, and he came on board as the CEO of McLaren now. And he stopped deliveries. And he said, y'all can't deliver any more of these with my name on them until we fix these issues.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard shit negative about that car now. You don't hear anything. Well, the 750 is the first full redesign with his full name on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the way McLaren does shit with horsepower and everything else. I bet you the numbers are 5 or 10 horsepower different. I bet it's closer to 5 horsepower different than the 765 dyno.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
sure.
Bang for your buck, that 750 is going to fuck the values up of everybody's 765s and 720s.
Yeah, I think it's gonna reset and correct a lot of values McLaren wide.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which
I think long term will be good, but in the short term it's going to be hard on people.
I want to see where he takes McLaren, because I've said over and over, McLaren has the potential to be the best car. To me, I think it has the potential to be better than Ferrari and Lamborghini with the way they think about shit. The way they can tell you, we redesigned this car 73.2%, versus everyone else is like, yeah, well, man, we did 74% on that. And they're just fucking guessing.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers are so dorky, they will get down to the fucking decimal point of what they're doing to change things. And that tells you how much they care to get like weight ratios right and everything else. The problem is they've never had that guy there to be like, okay, our electronics suck ass.
Yeah.
Everything else about it, like when Audi was looking at buying McLaren, we were both fucking stoked about that. You put that quality of control with that fucking car.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, with one exception, is that I think the problem I would still bet that McLaren is going to have is lag. Excuse me.
Oh, turbo lag.
Yeah, I got to blow my nose. Bear with me, folks.
Porsche's done a damn good job of it too in the new 992s. They've done a better job of the turbo lag. But you're right.
I think they're still laggy by comparison.
Yeah, comparison, yeah. But they're better than McLaren.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ferrari has the best or does the best job with no fucking lag, no two ways about it. But
it'd be cool to see if they do. Now I do want to see what the new Lamborghini does.
Yeah.
No, because it's still going to be an NA car with fucking a hybrid assist.
Yeah.
But the new Huracan replacement is supposed to be a V8 twin turbo.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, you're right. If they could fix that fucking turbo lag in the 720s or the whatever they become, they're gonna, and their quality control.
Yeah.
Because that's the main problem to McLaren, with McLaren to me. The turbo lag, you can cheat the turbo lag, especially if you know how to hit the shifters right and fucking rev the shit out of it, and you've done it, I've done it, but it sucks because you got to put it in your mind to beat the turbo lag.
Yeah.
But it can be done. It just puts more work in. But to me, if they'd fix the fucking quality of those cars, the electronics, the fucking fit and finish, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ugly beautiful. I don't think they're the most sexy car that pulls up, but when you see it, the design, the shit, the thinking they went into to do just some of the simple shit, like how they hide a door handle to get in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that they shut off where I can't look at the engine.
Yeah.
To me, that bothers me, but that's just me. I want to see all that shit, you know, especially if I'm paying for it. I want to fucking see it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go to my toolbox to fucking look at the engine.
No doubt. I mean, again, that's one of the things I love about Ferrari is that, you know, the engines are there almost like they're presented to you, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question, and this is going to be it for this show, unless you have something else. Weekends is where we get out and have fun, go meet with other car enthusiasts and whatnot. What's your favorite, the lunch run or the meets? I'm mixed about this, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, me too. To me, it's hard to put one over the other. I like both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm stuck in a seesaw.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I wouldn't want to pick one over the other, honestly. Mm-hmm. I like doing both, you know. It's nice to go and just drive all fucking morning and do twisties and be in a group, but then it's also fun to cannonball run it for 20, 25 minutes and then shoot the shit and see a bunch of other cool cars and talk to people about, you know, builds and fucking whatever else and then drive home, you know. So, yeah, to me it's a tie.
I think my perfect month would be meet, lunch run, meet, lunch run.
Yeah. To me, Saturday meet, Sunday lunch run.
Yeah, that'd be a good fucking weekend. Yeah.
Because Sunday there's less traffic.
And then end the night with motherfucking motorcycle ride or something.
Yeah.
Fucking around. But, yeah, to me, the meet aspect I like of it, same as you, is that's where we actually get to meet these people that are car enthusiasts. And it's a trip to see where some of us come from.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all walks of life. And that's what I think what started this show is it don't matter what you do. If you're into cars and you're local to California, fucking wherever you are, find car meets if you're into cars. And if you're into this show, you should be into cars. And go realize that the majority of the people that drive those cars aren't douchebags, I would say. I would say the majority of them are really down-to-earth people that just want to fucking talk about cars. I know we do it at gas stations. We let kids in our cars, fucking, you know, get in, do whatever the fuck you want. Same with a car meet. That's how most of these guys are. So there's a lot of people that are like, man, I'd love to go to a car meet. And it's, dude, just go.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. And even when I got my first car to go to a car meet, because I did car shows for 15 years, I would go to those and I got all this confidence. I'm doing car shows. But when my first meet, I was nervous as fuck. Like it was my first fucking day of school, you know, because I'm a fucking plumber. I don't fit in with that shit. And, you know, a year later, I meet Mike and fuck, we have a shit ton of stuff in common. And that's just how it's been for, I would say, both of us is we meet more and more people that have a lot of the same shit and interests we have. And it's a trip because 4 or 5 days out of the week, we're not really fucking with cars. We're fucking with business, shit like that, family stuff. And you start getting this group that's going through the same shit, and it's really cool to fucking be a part of. And you don't necessarily have to own a car to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That's what I want our audience to realize, that go out, do the shit, fucking talk to these people. Keep in mind, you are going to run across the 10 to 20%ers that are douchebags, but for the most part, everybody's down to earth, cool people, and they just want to talk about their fucking cars.
Yeah, and see everybody else.
Yeah, you know, what do you want type shit. So
yeah,
that's it for this show, guys. We're going to come back in 2 weeks and do some more shit. If you got any questions, ask.uninfluenced@gmail.com. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Peace, bitches.